Last week, we took to the track about as far north as you can go here in the United States at Road America, where lap after lap, drivers race through Canada Corner. Well, this week, every corner can be Canada Corner as we jump across the border to Canadian Tire Motorsports Park for the Area 52 Designs Canadian Grand Prix here in the NASA GT Americas. It's the first time that the series has left the United States and the first time that NASA as a whole has in 2 years. Last time was back in 2019 in the Rallycross series, but it's 2021 now, and the cars are different, the drivers have changed, and we've been blown away by the racing we've seen so far this season. Last week, Blake Reynolds and Team McLaren took the win in a feature race, while last season's champion Ray Kingsbury took second in both the sprint and the feature. Today, Ray looks for vengeance in the GTE Pro class, while Christian Chandler looks to continue his domination after sweeping qualifying in both races last week. Let's take a look here at the weather here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Air temperature right now is 76 degrees with a track temp of 99. Winds out of the west. That's going to be a crosswind down the long straightaway at 8 to 9 miles an hour. Skies are partly cloudy with 86% humidity. Now let's send it over to Mike Barry, who's got a look at our track map.
Yeah, let's talk about the track. Obviously, our first trip up to Canada in this season, our only trip up to Canada, actually, if I'm not mistaken. And we're gonna start off in turn 1 down here in the red section on the track map. Unfortunately, we don't have anything showing it. Now, obviously, you're gonna continue up into Clayton Corner, which is a really fast corner, and you gotta keep it tight on the entry so you can get a good exit out of Quebec and make a good run down to the Moss hairpin. Then you're going to come down the end, ready straight into the S's, and you're going to end off in whites, in which will be about a minute and 15-second lap. I think we're going to see some real good racing here, Chad.
It looks forward to it. It's a very technical track. There's a lot of elevation changes that make things interesting. The one that was really getting me in practice, trying to get a feel for the track a little bit, was turn 2. It's kind of downhill, off camber just enough to make the car upset, but these drivers know how to do it, and they know how to do it well. Let's take a look real quick at our driver standings here in GT Americas after one race. In GT Pro, Blake Reynolds took 50 points last week, and he's followed just 5 points back by Ray Kingsbury, last season champion. Then Savian Ragster, 11 points back. Jack Belton and Michael Janney tied for 4th. And then Kevin Fanning in 6th, 20 points back. 2 points behind him is Steve Lane. And then Matt Kingsbury, 25 points back. And Marwan Mafta and Kamal Hashmi, both 28 points behind Blake Reynolds. They are tied for 9th and 10th. And now taking a look at our Red Kite GTM standings. Leader so far is Christian Chandler. Of course, he's at 58 points after sweeping both events last week. And then Jimmy Mullis, 14 points back, followed by Anthony Burrows. Peter Houston in 4th, and Zach Novak in 5th. Clark Archer is 30 points behind Chandler, and then Nate Stewart, Flynn Lazier, Kieran Forrest, and Brandon Lambert wrap up your top 10. And Mike, I believe you have our team standings.
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about the team standings. Obviously, in the front, Spark Racing, they've pulled out to a pretty small lead, but I mean, any lead right now is going to help. Then obviously behind you have Matco Tools and Renover Racing Reloaded, tied with 9 points behind the leader. What is that? Math's not wrong. That's 58 points. Right behind them, Dead Zone Racing at 50 points. They're blipping behind, but I think they could be able to catch up, especially if this track suits them. We're going to have to see that in qualifying. Then Red Kite Virtual Motorsports, right at the end, 19 points back. Let's look into the AM team standings right now. And you have Richmond Raceway Esports, and they're obviously pulling away to a dominant lead, 30 points over Spark LMT. Then Team Legends Never Died, just trailing Spark by 34 points. Team Legends Never Died B, which I guess is a separate entity, they're 44 points back. And then right behind them, Masterclass Performance Racing with 48 points back.
Yeah, and that Richmond Raceway Esports team is the stacked roster. If you take a look kind of just throughout this entire the entire lineup here. I believe that's the team with Zach Novak and Jimmy Mullis, I believe, yes, are the two drivers for that team. You'll notice that Christian Chandler's team is not listed on there, even after dominating last week, but he is running for Team iRacing. He is an independent driver in this series and therefore not eligible towards the team championship. taking a
Yeah,
quick look. Go ahead. Go ahead, Mike.
It's gonna be interesting. We obviously have two different stands here, and you gotta decide which one you're gonna prioritize. Obviously, you want the flame and the glory of a singles championship, but maybe the tag. I'm getting my wrestling terms in, but maybe the team championship is a little bit more attainable for you. We don't know. We're gonna have to wait a couple more races to find out, I think.
Yeah, consistency is key in both, though, and we have to thank our sponsors, both in the team and the driver championships. Looks like we've got GT Pro Drivers Championship presented by Simracer Coin, and Red Kite sponsoring the GTM Drivers Championship, as well as Spark sponsoring the Pro Team, as well as iDrive Sim sponsoring the Amateur Team Championships. And once again, we are here at Mosport for the Area 52 Designs Grand Prix. We want to thank Mosport for putting this event on there and hosting this virtual event. Area 52 Designs for sponsoring the race, and of course, Simracer Coin. We got to thank our producer Victor for clicking all the buttons that make all the flashing lights and colors go up across your screen. And it's going to be an exciting one. Taking a look real quick at the qualifying times that have been put in so far. Josh Clogg leading the overall timing charts. He's put a 1:12.8. Michael Janney a 10th back, saving Ragster. Then Ray Kingsbury and Yvonne Pandev wrapping up your top 5 in the GTEs. And then the GT3s, no surprise here. Christian Challoner is on top of the timing for that class, followed by Mullis, Burrows, Lambert, and Archer. So really, not too many surprises at the top of these speed charts for either category.
Yeah, I mean, you look at Christian Challoner, he currently has a 6:10 lead over Jimmy Mullis. And then going back a little bit, it's 2:10 in between Mullis and Clark Archer. So I think we're going to see a really good race for second. But I think unless something happens to Christian Challoner on the first lap, he's going to be running away with it like last week.
Yeah, he's got half a tenth on anybody in the field, but from then on, Mullis and Burrows are close, and then, Lambert, Archer, they're all, right there with each other. But there is a log jam for about 7th through 15th, within about a second or so of each other. So it's going to be a really tight mid-pack, I think, all season long in the GT3s, as opposed to in the GTEs. Basically, the top 10 are separated by less than a second. So anybody can really take that depending on how everything plays out, because Clogg, Janney, Ragster, Ray Kingsbury, Pandev. I mean, basically anybody from even Matt Kingsbury as well, Dan McDonald. A lot of these guys have shown pace. Yeah, so we'll have to just see who can stay out of trouble, be the most consistent, and when it comes down to it towards the end of the race, who can get around that lap traffic.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that kind of come into factor last week with a great battle for a GTE lead was kind of taken away by a GT3 car that still not exactly over. So
yeah, I mean, the big difference between this track and Road America last week is the track length. Laps are about half the time. So you're going to see at least 2, if not 3 times they're going to be lapping cars.
Yeah, I mean, we're definitely it's going to be interesting to see how they're going to maneuver lap traffic. Obviously, lengthwise, it's not a big track, but also the track isn't very wide. I mean, you could probably fit 3 wide at most, and it's very fast. It's not many places you can really overtake. I mean, the best place to do it is Moss Hairpin, but even that's probably the tightest corner on the track. I'd say that's only 2 meters or 2 car lengths wide, and really narrows coming down that hill as we see now on the broadcast.
Yeah. And let's go ahead real quick and take a look at the format for today's event. Qualifying is, of course, it is 3 laps, 10 minutes. Sprint race is going to be 15 minutes with points awarded to the top 5 finishers in each class. And the feature race, as always, is 45 minutes. And it's always going to put on a good show here, as we've got 2 final cars left on track, putting in some qualifying laps. You're taking a look there at the 199 at William Calhoun, and he ran out of time. Just unfortunately, he timed that just wrong. There was Calhoun and Pandev were the 2 that were left on track, and unfortunately, they did not get that lap in on time.
Yeah, I mean, that's going to really hurt him. He's sitting 33rd overall right now. That's 13th in class. I mean, actually 34th overall. He must have lost a little bit of time. It's going to be... He did show a lot of pace last week, but I don't know if he can overcome that in the sprint race. I mean, obviously the feature race, he has a lot more time. He can make a lot more moves, and might be able to claw his way up to a top 5, but the sprint race is important. Every point is going to matter in a short season like this. You only have 10 full races. You only get top 5 points in these sprints.
Yeah, and you really have to kind of manage your car, manage everything in the sprint race to set yourself up for a good starting spot in the feature, because, of course, that where you start does transition over from one to the next. There's not going to be an inversion this season like we saw last season. Just makes things difficult with having multiple classes and dealing with lap traffic. It would just be too much chaos, I would have to say, for that to come into fruition, I guess, in this series. But yeah, so talking about that 199, he showed pace last week, and he showed some in practice as well, but unfortunately, you know, just not the best showing in qualifying. So he'll have to work his way up through the field as you see the drivers start to grid up. We're gonna have one pace lap here before we take the green, and I mean, I'm just excited to get underway again. It's only a week between races, but it feels like it's a lot longer.
Yeah, I mean, it was torture. I'm really looking forward to coming back here. Obviously, I got called up at a last minute last week, but this week I had the week's notice, and it really did wear on me. I'm really happy to be back, and I think hopefully we're gonna have as good a race as we had last week.
And there's a look at the front of the grid. 3 Renovo cars starting in your top 5, so definitely a strong showing from them.
Yeah, the Spark guys on the outside, and they're kind of breaking up the Michael Janney and Ray Kingsbury. They're breaking up that will. Oh no, sorry, Josh Clogg and Ray Kingsbury. Sorry, I have my my lanes mixed up.
That's all right. Yeah, Clogg and Kingsbury for Spark, and then Janney, Ragstar, and Pandev, the 3 that are up front for Team Renovo.
And now, as we come around the track, we can kind of see just the elevation changes that we're going to be experiencing. It doesn't seem like that much when you look, but you'll feel it, that dip down into turn 1.
Yeah, so you go downhill hard into turn 1 like you saw there, and look at this ridge that they're cresting over here for turn number 2. As you come across, it's going to be a long braking zone to the left, and if you don't get it exactly right, thankfully there is a lot of runoff that you see right there, but that kind of puts the car off camber just enough to make the turn a little bit difficult. That's probably about a 15 to 20 foot drop in that corner.
I wouldn't even call that a runoff. I mean, anytime you touch grass in these GT cars, it's murder. I mean, those things get real loose if you even put one tire on them, and if you actually end up putting all 4 tires off, you better just pray you don't get in the barrier too hard.
39 cars taking to today's grid, and they put on a show last week. We have plenty of time to kind of talk about what we expect to see. Do you have any predictions so far for today's race, Mike?
Yeah, I hate to say it, but I think Christian Challenger's gonna run away with it unless something happens. But I think it's a lot more of a toss-up in the in GTE. The 2 favorites right now are Josh Clogg and Michael Janney, but they're only about 3/10 faster than Xavier Ragstar, and we've seen him get a lot faster over the course of a race, as we saw last week in Road America. So hopefully we can see if he can replicate that. He had a great run there. Obviously, wasn't able to get the exact result he wanted, but I don't know. Maybe we'll see. We gotta see what happens.
Yeah, I have to agree on the Challenger front, but over in the GTEs, I think things are going to be a little tighter because, yeah, there's that 2/10 difference between 2nd and 3rd Janney and Ragstar. But both Janney and Ragstar are likely going to be running the same setup. And so I think there was maybe just a little bobble in qualifying. You can say the same about Clogg and Kingsbury. Talking to Ray before the race, he realized once Josh found something in that setup, he asked for it from his teammate, and they kind of tweaked it to fit each other's driving styles a little bit better. So they've got them, they're the same, but they're different at the same time. And it looks like we're going green in the GTE class. They are rolling away safely so far, and it's still going to be Janney trying to hold the outside.
Yeah, Janney's not really able to hold the outside there. Josh Clogg is going to get the advantage as they come down to Clayton Corner.
And this is a look back at the GT3 class, and Mullis got the jump on Christian Challenger. Challenger probably just playing it safe just enough here at the start, taking his time because it is a long race. And now he's got a battle to get around him and pull away because it's only a 15-minute race. And look at that, side by side. Team Renovo's teammates side by side. That's up in the pro category. That is the 91 of Savian Ragstar and Ivan Pandev, the 2 teammates that we saw come over sticking with Renovo from last season.
And now as they come down the long and dirty straight, looking towards the S, and Josh Clog has the advantage. Michael Janney in hot pursuit, though. I think he's going to be he's going to maybe be saving his tires a little bit, because even though it's a 15-minute race, if you burn them up, you'll put yourself out of contention, and every point matters.
So Clog is out front there in the GTEs, and then it's Janney, Ragster, and Pandev. So 2, 3, and 4 for Team Renovo, followed by Ray Kingsbury. There's Christian Challenger trying to go for the lead, go around the outside in the GT3s. Is going to get the move done?
Oh, he's going to get it into the second S's, and now coming into White's corner. Can he hold on the outside? We've seen guys do that, but usually on the last lap, but he looks like he's going to think better of and hold it back.
Yeah, it's a sprint race, so you kind of need to be aggressive and make moves. He makes it into turn 1, sending it up the inside, but that's going to give the advantage to Mullis in turn number 2.
To Clayton, I mean, Mullis has the advantage. Looks like maybe Christian Challenger was waiting to set him up, maybe into Quebec corner, or just going to hold off until Moss. Hopefully he can get back to him. I mean, he's got such a fast car. He was 6/10 up on Mullis, but maybe Mullis has some race speed that he didn't have in qualifying.
That's a look from the nose of Christian Challenger's car. We're about 2-ish minutes into this race, and already we've got a battle heating up for the first position. But it looks like Clog and Janney have kind of pulled away from the rest of the field in the GTEs, because they've got about 2 seconds back to Savy and Ragster.
Yeah, obviously two dominant drivers right now. I mean, if this is any, I think if these guys are so evenly matched. We saw them only a 10th in between each other in qualifying. Let's see if this might be the battle for the feature win. Obviously, last week Michael Janney had the dominant car in the sprint, but got taken out in a lap 1 wreck and had to claw his way back to, I think it's about a 10th place finish. If anything bad happens to him this time, we might see a similar thing, but if he's able to hold on like he's doing right now, then he's going to be wicked fast coming into this feature.
And last week we saw an incredible battle between Mullis and I believe it was Burrows in the feature race. Basically that battle lasted for second place basically the entire time. I mean, from green flag to checkered flag, they were side by side duking it out, and it got pretty heated there. And you see there, Burrows is basically hanging right behind Challenger. This is 1, 2, and 3 here in the GT3, the AM category. And these 3 drivers are really duking it out, because we saw Challenger kind of peek his nose a couple times in on Mullis. He kind of thought better of it, and now he's just kind of holding on, waiting for Mullis to make a mistake. And this is further back. That's battle for, it looks like 6 between Houston, Novak, and Dipple. And there's a whole freight train of cars behind him.
Yeah, it looks like a lot of guys are thinking to go single file. Obviously, you don't want to compromise any positions, and you want to get the points you need, but
and this is side by side for the lead. He's going around the long way, so we'll see if he can get it to stick there. He holds it side by side. Does he have the momentum? He's still there. He's at his door. He's got the advantage. He's going to get it on the switchback.
No,
cannot do it.
Hold him in whites.
Wait a minute. Christian holding the outside. What an intense battle so far. And this could he be clear by the time they get to turn number 1? No.
On the outside there, but he thinks better.
He got cleared. He backed out. Yeah, it's a very tricky corner there, turn 1, to get right, going side by side. So definitely thinking better of that one was Challenger.
Yeah, I think he's just playing a smart here. He knows he has the faster car. I think he actually did get ahead of him that lap. He scored in 17th as of the start-finish line, but just because he had that great run off of whites. But I think he's going to take his time, and he's going to make the move when he feels it's right, and he can make it safely.
And in practice, these 2 drivers, they're coming up on a slower car in front. That is Lee Tucker. Yeah, he is in the Pro Class, the GTEs. He rejoined safely, and thankfully just in time to not catch these leaders of the GT3s out.
Yeah, I mean, that's just a close call. We obviously saw what happens when slower cars get involved with lead lap battles or leader battles. And here
comes Challenger, the same spot we saw last lap, doing it again.
Yeah, I think he realizes all he has to do is send it in a little bit harder to Mullis.
There he is. That time, contact, and he saves it. Contact from behind from Jimmy Mullis, and that's an interesting, maybe a little nutty on that one, but he's Christian. He's going to try to hold it side by side this time. Mullis way up on that curbing on the inside of turn number 1. It's going to be Challenger having the preferred line in turn number 2, but Mullis with a great run along the outside.
There were 3 1,000ths of a second between them coming across the line there. But it looks like Mullis is going to be able to get the run into Quebec corner. There he goes. He's all. Are they still gonna be side by side going into Moss? That's the question. I mean, Challenger's gonna get that outside line run.
But look at Burrows here. The door is wide open for him to try to work something around Challenger as well.
Don't forget about Clark Archer there. He's sitting right back and forth, and he's just on the tail of Burrows.
What a great battle we're seeing here in the GTEs or GT3s. Looking up front here at Josh Clogg. I mean, he's got one person behind to deal with, and that is Michael Janney. They've got a decent gap back to Ragster, but then it's Ragster, Kingsbury, and Pandev. Ray Kingsbury did get by Ivan Pandev, so he's up to 4th right now. And then Dan McDonald. So for Team Renovo Racing, really, those zebra stripes really showing strong here early on.
Yeah, I mean, that seems to be our powerhouse team for this year. I mean, they've had cars qualify on the top 5 at Road America. They had them qualify in the top 5 here. I mean, they've shown race pace. Sabian Ragster especially was fighting to the end.
And yeah, that was the same battle that we saw last time, and this is up in GT3s again. And that's on board with Mullis, looking out the back towards Challenger.
Yeah, it looks like he's got a little bit of breathing room now, but I would be calming down because Christian Challenger seems to have just a slightly faster car, but it's just so hard to pass here.
And it looks like even here in the sprint race, the GTEs are having to deal with some lap traffic as Travis Seymour looks like he had an off-track excursion. He's got some damage to the front right of his car, but all the GT3, the GTEs in that faster car got by safely, so all safe and sound.
And going back to GTE, obviously Michael Janney has still a pretty dominant lead over Sabian Ragster. Josh Clogg in his sights. I mean, Ray Kingsbury's a little bit farther behind. He's 4/10 back from Sabian Ragster, but it looks like it's just going to be a 2-horse battle right now.
And they've got that horse in second place for Michael Janney. Off track is Cody Cosgrove further back in the GTE class, and he gets into the tire barrier, just as I talked about, outside of turn 2, and he tows it back to the pits. So he looks like his day here in the sprint race, at least, is done, as we are over halfway through this sprint race here at Mosport in the 2021 NASA GT Americas, presented by Simracer Coin.
Yeah, looking back to GT3, I mean, it's just kind of status quo now. It looks like Christian Challenger realizes if he wants to make a move on Jimmy Mullis, he's going to have to fight with his heart. I mean, Anthony Burrows obviously waiting for one of them to make a mistake. He can give him clutch second.
Yeah, these front 3 have probably pulled out about a 6 or 7 car length back gap on 4th, but they're doing a great job of kind of keeping things clean. We did see that one tap from Mullis on Challenger, but they were able to get things situated, get things squared away, and Mullis still leading the herd.
Yeah, I mean, I think all Mullis has to do is he just have to hold the inside line coming into the S's. I mean, actually, Christian Challenger making a run to the inside.
What a power move right there. We'll have to see if he can hold it now. This is the opposite of what we saw Challenger do 2 laps in a row, and he gets such a good drive there out of the second turn in the S's, and almost more contact there between Mullis and Challenger, but looks like he's going to get the spot. No fighting back on the outside is Mullis.
Look at this. I mean, if he's able to sweep back, he might have to just hold it in, but no, he's not. He's going to hold it around the outside, get that run, and make sure to try and get him clear before Clayton.
And he was squeezing Challenger hard there to the inside, making sure that he couldn't arc it out and get a decent run out of that corner. So Mullis doing a great job there. But then here comes Challenger. What a power move there. So late on the brakes in the BMW, and not able to do much more than get side by side, but coming up to the hairpin. What are we going to see here? Is Challenger going to back out? Yes, he does.
Okay, there he is. Maybe not, though. I mean, he's only backing out just enough to get him, right on the bumper. He's going to get the run.
And all that battle is doing is look at that freight train of about 10 cars behind them. I mean, they are letting nothing happen, letting nobody else pass them, but they're definitely opening the door for anybody, if anybody makes a mistake, to
get back. Anthony Burrows might be having a move made on him by Clark Archer, though.
Yeah, these front 2 now have a gap of about 6 car lengths or so, and it's still going to be Burrows holding that 3rd spot.
Yeah, we were almost 2 by 2 there in GT3. I mean, Clark Archer did have the run to the outside Anthony Burrows, but he thought better of it. Obviously, with 4 minutes and 20 seconds left, you're going to want to really start putting the hammer down.
And the one thing that we saw from Challenger a couple of laps ago is through the S's, if he can at least get alongside on the, I believe it's on the right side of Mullis, he will have the advantage at least through a couple of the corners, and he did have the advantage at the line, even if he didn't hold the lead coming out of turn number 1. So if he can at least get the advantage at the line, that is all that matters to Christian Challoner.
Yeah, I mean, you can see he's just a little bit faster in Clayton, and he's able to get that run to Quebec, but obviously coming on the run to Moss, I mean, Mo's just a little bit faster.
Such a fun and fantastic battle, and this is what we have to look forward to all season. I know I've said that time and time again, but my goodness, I mean, it's just incredible to watch.
Yeah, I mean, we have some of the best drivers on iRacing competing here. Obviously, Zach Novak, Jimmy Mills, Christian Challoner. But even then, we have a lot of unknowns, and they're really showing that they can hang with the big boys.
And that's on board there with the 2-car of Josh Klog for Team Spark Virtual Racing. Right behind him, that is looking at Michael Janney. And last lap, they were about even on lap times, but overall, Michael Janney has a faster lap. So definitely going to be interesting to watch that play out here as we are approaching 3 minutes or about 2 or so laps to go, depending on when they catch the line.
Yeah, I mean, we were seeing actually in GTE, they're starting to come up on a little bit of lap traffic. I mean, we didn't expect it to happen in early time as they go around a BMW there. That's the 13 of EJ Follner.
Yeah, that was Fueler. Looks like he might have had an issue. His teammate Kamal Hashimi is in the pits as well, so looks like things are not quite going their way for Apex Tech Racing today.
Yeah, just welcome back to GT3. I mean, right on the bumper through. Where's that? That's turn. Yeah, that's Moss. Just a different camera angle for me. And now we can see he's getting the run down the backstretch. Christian Challoner is. I mean, if he can get the inside into the S's, he might have it. I mean, he only has about 2 or 3 laps to go.
Yeah, he's going to make the same move that we saw a couple laps ago. Christian, though, not able to get along side by side in time to get that move done. That's a move that we've seen him make a couple of times. They're just getting over to the left side just before the S's along that long Andretti backstretch. And if he can, if he can make that move stick and he can hold the lead at the line, I think that he will be very happy with that.
Yeah, I mean, we're really, if you look at the track, where Moles is stronger is like in turn 1, in Moss, and in the S's and Whites. I mean, Christian Challoner is stronger everywhere else, so maybe Challoner's best move would be make a move somewhere around right here.
I'm still keeping an eye up front at the battle between Janney and Klog. No changes there, and it really looks like, dealing with lap traffic, everybody being very respectful out there, keeping out of the way. This is on board from the nose, though, of Christian Challoner. And he's doing a great job just keeping right there with Mullis, maybe saving his tires enough for the end.
He's going to get the run here going into the S's. I mean, he might even get side by side with him before they reach it, just about. Yeah, look at him.
Under a minute to go, so we should be seeing the white flag this time.
I assume so. Oh, actually, not 2 laps to go for GTE. GT3, I'd say. Maybe they're about 50 seconds back from GTE. Oh, look at Christian Challoner. He's got the advantage coming into second S, but he doesn't have the preferred line going into white.
Watch this run that he's going to get. He's going to have the advantage at the line, and that's what's going to matter on the last lap. There you see the start-finish line. Is he going to get him?
Not quite clear.
Sending it in. Can it stick? Somehow. It's still there. But Mo is fighting back on the outside. No, Challoner is clear.
Yeah, I mean, Mo is just going to have to, might just want to stick back. He's going to get second place points here unless he wants to make a run into Quebec. But no, he's going to think better of it because he has Anthony Burroughs right in his rear end. So he knows if he makes a mistake, then he's going to lose second.
Final lap here, and the battle up front between Janney and Klog. Still no change. About half a second or so between them, but under braking.
Here we go. We have a 3-car drafting battle down the Andretti straight. Can Jimmy Mullis make the run into the S's? I mean, this is the most adversity he's had to face all day. He's been up front. There he goes. He's going to look to the outside. He's actually going to get the run.
And this is the same exact. This is the exact same move that we saw from Challoner to get the lead in the first place. Mullis trying to make it stick. He is alongside. His nose is still there as they come through the final corners.
Oh, that contact maybe.
Very close there. That's a risky move.
bumper to bumper. I mean,
and they've still got one more lap. This is the final lap now for them as the GTEs are coming to the finish line. That is Clog in front of Janny. Clog all the way from flag to flag from the pole finishes first, and he will start first in the feature race as well.
No offense to Josh Clog, but there's a way more exciting battle going on in GT3, so we're going to keep our eyes on that. Christian Challenger holding off in the run into Moss.
What a... I can't say more than just what a battle this has been, and I hope that we see more of this season because, my goodness, they have just been putting on a clinic out there.
I think that might have been the race there. Challenger got just a little bit of a better run off of Moss. He's going to really have to send it into the S's, and I don't know if that'll be on the sporting code.
He does have the draft a little bit, and he is gaining just a small amount. He's going to have to brake very late for that one. You see him slowly gaining, but going into the S's. No, it's just gonna be Challenger running away with it, and there's a battle back for third as well. Looks like Burrows had a moment as well, so it's gonna be Christian Challenger winning the second sprint race in a row to start this season. He is followed by Jimmy Mullins, and then Burrows, I believe, took third. No, it's gonna be Clark Archer at the line taking third, and something happened to Burrows.
Burrows, yeah. With front end damage, I think. Or maybe he ran out of fuel.
Yeah, he ran out of fuel. He was coming up to the S's, and he started slowing by a lot. I mean, coming into the S's, down the hill of the Andretti Straight, he ran out of fuel, and just watch him. He's right there. They're going to crest this hill right here. Yep, and you can hear it. He's just sputtered out of gas. He crests the hill, and it's just all on fumes from there.
Tough break for him. Obviously, he was running a great race, keeping Challenger and Mullis right in his sights, and just bad luck at the end of the race is going to end up finishing 23rd overall, about 9th.
Just unfortunate to have that happen as we await. We're going to have to do some fun finagling, I would say, for...
Oh, we do have Josh Clog. He's waiting there. He's going to...
Yep. And
we got him on the line.
Yep, we will bring in Josh Clog, the winner of the sprint race here at the Area 52 Designs Grand Prix at Mosport. Josh, flag to flag, you started on pole and you took the checkered. How'd it feel out there?
Felt pretty good. Spent a good amount of time this week looking at some telemetry and stuff, and found some stuff that apparently worked for me. Didn't really work so well for Ray. He didn't really like the feeling of it, but I'm A-okay with it. Felt good to me.
Yeah, obviously you had Michael Janney in your sights basically or he was in your sights most. I don't got that right, hon. Michael Janney was in your rear mirror for basically the entirety of the race, and I don't know. You think you're gonna have to change something so you can maybe pull a bigger gap on him? Or do you think you're just gonna have to outrace him?
We'll have to give it a look. I was just kind of trying to manage the pace, keep it clean, keep it easy. So we'll see. There's a little bit left in there.
We saw a couple of drivers at the end sputtering on field. Do you think you need to put another lap or two in just to make sure you're safe?
No, I think it's all right. It's going to be messy in the feature, but I think it'll be all right.
All right, Josh, congratulations on your first sprint win of the season, and best of luck to you going forward.
Thank you very much.
That is Josh Clog, driver of the number 2 for Team Spark, and what a show he put on as we are currently just kind of getting a feel for things, trying to get set for the second portion. That was the wrap-up of our 15-minute feature, or 15-minute sprint. Now we will take a short break and have a 45-minute feature coming for you in just a little bit, so stay tuned. And we are back live here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park for the Area 52 Designs Canadian Grand Prix here in NASA GT Americas, presented by Simracer Coin. We have to thank our sponsors as always, and shout out to Cody Erdman and Area 52 Designs. He's done a great job making liveries both here and in the Rallycross series, if I remember correctly. And I mean, oh, he did not. I'm getting all my design companies mixed. Oh, he did. I'm getting all my design companies mixed up. Oh my goodness. Anyway, Area 52 Designs is a motorsports design company that specializes in sim racing design along with real-world race cars. And he's got some great liveries out there. You can look him up over on Trading Paints. He's got some stuff on there, I believe. And definitely appreciate all of our sponsors here in NASA GT Americas. So we just finished up our sprint race, and we can take a look real quick. I'll do a run through of our standings from that, at least for the top 10 of each class. It was in the GTEs, Josh Clogg ahead of Michael Janney by about 0.4 of a second. And then it was Ragster, Pandev, and McDonald, the top 5. Ray Kingsbury dropped to 6th, and then it was Blake Reynolds, Matt Kingsbury, Kevin Fanning, and Tim Brokaw wrapping up the top 10 there. And then over in GT3s, it was Chandler followed by Mullis, and what an intense battle that one was. They were separated by about 0.4 of a second, if that. And then Clark Archer, Peter Houston, Zach Novak, John Dipple in 6th, then Lambert, Carroll, Hensley, Burrows, and then Seth Rawls as well. The last car there on the lead lap overall. And unfortunate for Burrows, he was there in 3rd basically the entire sprint race and just ran out of fuel coming down the Andretti Straight for the final time.
Yeah, I mean, that really just comes down to about 0.2 or 0.3 3 gallons of fuel. I mean, that's the risk you take when you decide, because obviously you want to put the least amount of fuel in as possible, so you have a lighter car, and you'll usually end up saving about a second in terms of lap times, well, give or take. I mean, that's just a risk you have to take, though. I mean, especially with the way the Lamborghini changed over the last week, they've iRacing has increased the rate of fuel consumption in anticipation for the Rolex 24 this weekend.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be interesting to see how everything plays out. Best of luck. I know we have a decent chunk of our field. I know Victor, our producer, is going to be running. I know you're going to be running it, Mike, as well. I'm going to be spotting / producing a stream for our team as well. That's going to be twitch.tv/cubecast. We are doing it to raise money for charity. We're raising money to fight Parkinson's, raising money for the Fox Foundation for Parkinson's Research, and they do a lot of great work. So feel free to stop by the stream there. There will be a donate link when we are live, and definitely going to do our best to raise some money over in Daytona for the 24 hours there. Mike, what are you looking forward to about that race?
Well, I'm looking. Well, last year we ran. My team ran into 4 GTE, and obviously we didn't really run that great. We only finished 6 hours of it. So this year we're really just looking to finish. Especially we're gonna be in a low splits. Finishing is the equivalent of finishing well, as with how attritional that race can be. If you want to see not my view, but my teammates' view, you can go check him out on the Flying Aces YouTube channel at, I think it's youtube.com/the_Flying Aces. That same thing on Twitter. He's gonna be live there at 2 p.m. and 8 p.m. I mean, that won't be my stints, but I think he'll put on a good show for you. And yeah.
Yeah, it's always great to get a bunch of drivers from a community together, a bunch of teams. Be informed. I know that Team Spark is going to be running 2 cars in the GT class, and they're going to have fun doing it. But back to today's race here at Mosport. It's changed names a couple times over the years. It was built in 1960. It opened in 61. Layout hasn't changed all that much, but for the most part, it's hosted a lot of different events and stuff. It's hosted Formula 1. It's only a Grade 2 circuit now, so it can't do that anymore. Last time it hosted a Formula 1 event was 1977. It's hosted Can-Am, Indy cars, basically anything out there. One of my favorites, and they're coming back next year to put on another good show, was the I guess it's now the Gander RV Truck Series.
No, they changed it back to
camping. Oh, is it back to Camping World? My goodness.
No, it wasn't Camping World. It's still Gander Outdoors, but it said like the stupid long Gander RV and
Outdoors. Oh, okay. I miss the good old days when it was the Craftsman Truck Series. It was simple. You could remember it. Yeah. I mean, those were the good old days of racing.
That was 10 years ago. I feel like that change only happened yesterday, though. That's just wild.
Time flies when you're having fun, and that just shows how great racing is. You know, they repaved the entire track, it looks like, in 2001 here as well. I'm just kind of going through some history notes, and, you know,
there's our best friend here.
There's some patches that you can see kind of all along the track. It might be time for another repave. I know for the most part, you know, it looks decent in some sections, but then, like, you look at turn 1 and maybe turn 3, there are some patches in there that I think, you know, you could probably rework just enough to make the track just that much better.
Yeah, if I'm not wrong, the last time this track was scanned was, I think, 2009 or 2010. It's been on the service for a while and really hasn't gotten a refresh. I mean, again, iRacing has been very selective with what they rescanned. I think the only time they've ever actually went and rescanned a road course was Silverstone 2 years ago, and that's just because it was a massive layout change, obviously adding the arena section and the Wellington Straight and which I'm not a fan of. I love the old bridge section, give a nice little bit of elevation, but I mean, getting back to this, I mean, I guess I did do a graphics overhaul of Road America where we were last week, but in terms of repaving the surface, I mean, well, we'll see what iRacing does.
If we're going to be rescanning tracks, they need to rescan Indianapolis.
Well, oh, definitely. I mean,
it's a completely different layout at this point.
Yeah, I mean, you have that new shorter layout with just a small switchback. I mean, and I mean, the track has changed significantly. That hasn't changed too much on the oval, but they have eliminated any source of the diamond grinding that was there in 2005, which led to the disastrous U.S. Grand Prix.
Yeah, I mean, as we watch guys, you know, take their warm-ups here, we will have the same starting order that we finished from the sprint race. No inversion this season. We saw that last season, and, you know, put on a good show, but at the same time, it was probably going to be too chaotic now that we have multiple classes. And, you know, the one thing I have to say is watching multiple classes, it definitely puts on a completely different show. I mean, just the way that, you know, the drivers have to work together to get around slower traffic, but at the same time, not compromise their position in their own field. You know, we saw that with Clog and, was it Janney last race? And yeah, just the way that, you know, they were able to work kind of together once they caught up to a couple of lapped cars and, you know, kept things clean. You know, sometimes those guys can be a moving pick. We saw that last week, and just it's going to have to see how that plays out here today.
Yeah, it's definitely turns this from a racing game into a strategy. I mean, really, you know, instead of all the battles being done between your classes, like, you have to figure out, is it worth making the move now and costing my race, or do I wait a second and then maybe wait until we get to the Moss hairpin where I can shoot up the inside relatively safely, or just wait till after that on the Andretti Straight? I mean, this is a lot shorter track than what we saw at Road America, so we're gonna lap traffic. We saw it even play a factor in the 15-minute sprint when we tripled that length. I think we're gonna see come into effect for basically the majority of the race.
And I know I'm gonna get my classes mixed up here, but the biggest difference, you know, that I have noticed between them is I think it's the GTEs do not have traction control and the GT3s do?
No, you'd be wrong there. There's actually a difference in GT3s have all your driving assist. They have ABS.
Oh, ABS is what it was, yes.
ABS is what the GTEs lack, and it does make a huge difference.
That's
still doesn't hurt them in terms of speed, though.
Yeah, you can definitely kind of see under braking the difference. There's some guys here in practice alone that are getting very racy. I mean, I'm kind of watching this little joust between Belton and Matt Kingsbury, and they're just fighting back and forth all the way around the track as we wrap things up here in practice.
Hey, I mean, good idea to figure out where you want to pass later on in the race.
And I don't know if it's just something. I don't know if it's something that happened just, you know, between the sessions, or, you know, if they maybe tried changing something on the setups. But Ray Kingsbury and Matt Kingsbury both were in, I believe, the top 8 or 9 in the last race. They were at the bottom of the speed charts.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're worried about speed necessarily. They know where they're gonna start. They just want to, like, you know, get some race pace under them. Maybe test the car out with a full fuel load. So yeah, that's gonna, because obviously they were running a lot shorter fuel loads, as we saw with Anthony Burrows. I mean, you know, you have this opportunity to like test and how the car is gonna handle on a full fuel load. Why not do it? You have to wonder, maybe that we had an extra lap obviously added to the sprint race in terms. Maybe they were anticipating one less lap, and that's what happened to Christian Burr, not to Anthony Burrows. That's one of the things you have to wonder. I mean, just obviously tough luck, but I think he's gonna be able to come back. He's got a real fast car.
We are rolling here on our pace lap. We're going to have to kind of sort things out here because it does look like we're having some of the same issues that we had last week in terms of gridding. Unfortunately, there's some issues with iRacing that does not play well
I
with
see.
heat racing. So we're going to have to get that sorted out here under the pace lap. But, you know, it looks like everybody's kind of rolling away now, so...
Yeah, that's the tough thing with how we do it. Obviously, we want to keep all the GTEs and the GT3s together, but when we grid based on the last race, a lot of times if a guy did not finish, then he gets stuck at the bottom. Let's go through our starting lineup real quick. Obviously, on the pole, we have Josh Clogg. He's going to be starting very front. I got to mute the driver chat. Everybody shut up. Thank you. And
we're seeing some guys clip the grass, just kind of trying to work their way through faster traffic or through slower traffic. And just kind of the GT3 cars trying to get themselves organized. Yeah, it just looks like, you know, we tried to import results over, but also grid by class, and something went haywire in the session import, so we're going to have to get things started. But looking at the, you know, your top five at least, it's going to be Josh Clogg on pole, same as we saw in the first race of the night. And then Janney, Ragster, Pandev, and McDonald. And then in the GT3s, it's Challoner, Mullis, Archer, Houston, Novak. Coming around through the S's, getting set for 45 minutes here in the Area 52 Designs Canadian Grand Prix here in NASA GT
Green flag is out.
And we
Here
are
we go.
green. A huge jump there from Michael Janney, and they're going to have three Renovo teammates battling for second on back right behind them. So
actually, we got four of them. Look behind Dan McDonald, not too far back. I mean, yeah, it's a... Oh, one's off track. Oh, that's Savian Ragster? Yeah, Savian Ragster into the barrier.
Wow. That's one of the Renovo teammates, and he started third, but now he is in the barrier, as it looks like things are underway back in the GT3s as well. That is going to be Challoner out in front. No, it's... Oh. Is it Mullis? It's Mullis that got the jump, so that's the second time we've seen that from Challoner, just not getting the best start, even from pole position.
I mean, the question is can he hold him off for the for 45 minutes? We saw he was able to. Oh, a lot of slow cars. So let's check that. Maybe a wreck. Extra. It looks like I don't think he got onto it later. I mean, the back is
one of the Mopar cars there as well. That was Brokaw. That was off running very slow and very wide.
Currently, no good, very bad day for Savian Ragster. He's all the way back at the end of the pack. I mean, it's gonna be rough.
And this is looking up front there in GTE. That's Josh Clogg for Team Spark. That's in front of Michael Janney by about half a second or so. And then they've got a second back to Yvonne Pandev and then Ray Kingsbury.
Yeah, I mean, Ivan Pandev obviously sitting right in the middle there after lap 1. He's kind of a little bit behind Michael Janney and Josh Clogg. Those two look like they're going to be duking it out for 45 minutes. I mean, obviously so even in terms of pace. Ray Kingsbury, though, we've seen him not be the best in the sprints, but he's real good in the features. Like,
and he is working his way up, and that's off track is the 62. That is the McLaren of Anthony Burrows. Or sorry, not the McLaren, the Lamborghini of Anthony Burrows. I'm getting all my cars mixed up here.
Yeah, just bad luck for him. I mean, so much raw pace he's had. Obviously running third before running out of fuel, and now he's got a lot of work to do trying to make his way back through the slower cars in the field.
And that's for third place right there. That is Kingsbury on Pandev. That's third overall in the GT class. He's going to come back. He drove in too deep. Kingsbury, though, gets the inside in the final corner, and he is cleared down the straightaway.
I think we had a big wreck back in GTD, or GT3 maybe. Could be wrong.
I have to see that damage there on the 144, I believe that was. Yeah, that's Travis Seymour there in the 144. He had the similar damage in the first race as well. Unfortunate there for my former partner up here in the booth. I miss you, Travis. You're always welcome to join us. We appreciate you. And there's Jacob Kraus off track as well. That's the 29 for him. And oh my goodness, we're just having incidents left and right. It's a long race, guys. You can take your time and slow down just a little bit.
And I think a lot of guys are just getting caught up by that extra weight added to the rear of the car. I mean, that will make the thing very unstable going into the brakes.
Yeah, for the most part, it looks like there's only a couple of guys sitting on pit road. And, oh my goodness, a huge wreck involving about 4 or 5 cars. Yeah, that's the replay there, and you take a look. I mean, that's not the worst damage. You have to wonder if there's some suspension damage, but that's a look up front there at the number 2 of Josh Clogg. Janney behind, slowly but surely catching. He was a 10th faster that last lap.
Yeah, I mean, look at that. Ray Kingsbury was able to get by Ivan Pandev. He's now in hot pursuit of Clogg and Janney, but I don't know. This is a very tire-intensive track, especially with how many high-speed corners there are, so he might want to let those two fight it out.
And Ray with a little, Matt Kingsbury. Yep, wrong Kingsbury. I'm mixing them up over here. But Matt up to 5th overall. And he's, one spot behind his twin brother, the older brother out in front. But Matt is trying to work his way up through the field. He started 8th. He's up to 5th. So slowly but surely gaining spots.
Yeah, we have a big gap between 4th and 5th. Matt Kingsbury 5 seconds behind Ivan Pandev. Oh, wait, is that Ray? Ray Kingsbury went off the track.
Yep, that got some damage to his front left. We saw him make a similar mistake last week, just on entry to, I think it was the carousel last time he drifted wide. Yeah, he just locked up the brakes, caught the dirt, and just could not keep it out of the way. It looks like he caught it pretty flush, so hopefully there's not too much suspension damage to that car, but he's able to keep things going. Good spot there, Mike. As he's able to hold on to the car. He's going to lose at least 2 or 3 spots. Looks like he's just in front of Hashemi, so he's going to be back down to 5th now. Yeah, so he lost spots to Ivan Pandev and Matt Kingsbury. Now it's Ray trying to work his way from 5th all the way up now. It's Clogg, then Janney. 2 seconds back, then is Pandev. And then there's a large gap to Kingsbury. And then what's going on over in GT3s there, Mike?
Looking back to GT3, I mean, it's Mullis and Chen were basically a repeat of what was happening in the sprint race. I mean, check that out. I mean, Challenger's just not letting Mullis get away, but he might be playing a little bit more conservatively, considering that, A, you have the larger fuel load, and you have to deal with your tires over another 40 minutes.
And that's the battle there for 3rd in class between Houston and Novak. Now, those guys they're going to battle and let Clark Archer get right into that battle with Dipple right behind them as well. The one thing I'm noticing between the two classes, though, both Clogg and Mullis have about 2 or 3 tenths of a second lead over the next car in line. But then behind them is about a 2-second gap. So both of these front duos in each class definitely have some room to kind of battle things out and see what they can do.
Yeah, I think if you look back to 5th place, cameraman, we're seeing Ray Kingsbury, maybe the extent of his damage. I mean, he's lost a lot of ground to Matt Kingsbury. Obviously, to the younger Kingsbury, if I'm not mistaken. Obviously, younger by minutes. only twins. Obviously one's performed a little bit better. Ray's gotta step it up. Obviously he's got the damage though, so, and now he's got 2 lap cars in front of him.
Yeah, the interesting thing as well, oh, going off track just behind them is Travis Seymour. We talked about his damage earlier, but yeah, Ray Kingsbury able to still keep things going. He was, you know, he did lose about a second to Matt that last lap, but he did not have the gap behind to Kamal Hashimi close at all. So he is still running 5th by about a second or so, maybe just under that. But it's still Kingsbury 5th. But overall, I mean, we just got battles all over the track. This is up front between Clog and Janney. And last lap, Clog pulled about a 1-second gap on Michael Janney. And Michael Janney right now, his fastest lap is about
10th faster.
10th faster, yeah. And then Clog just lost that 10th, gave it right back to Michael Janney on that lap. So about 0.4 a second the gap. And there's still about 37 minutes to go here in the race.
I mean, we're definitely seeing maybe the patience by both Challoner and Janney. I mean, both of them not letting the leader out of their sights, but they're definitely not pushing the envelope too much. As Challoner actually making a run, coming down the front stretch into turn 1. Maybe now he's going to hold off, think better of it.
And is that the Jaws music I hear in the background? Just, you need to put a shark fin there on that car of Christian Challoner. He is just back there lurking, stalking his prey, just trying to get things right so he can just pounce.
Obviously, Challoner just such a consistent and fast driver. Like, nothing really flashy happening last race between him. I mean, he just pulled out and never looked back.
Yeah, such an incredible fight that these two have put on all race long, both in the sprint and now in the feature. And was there some contact there? I believe there must have been. That was Challoner now getting by Mullis.
We got to take that to replay, I think.
Have to see if we can't get a replay of that. It just looks like under braking. Challoner sent it in a little too deep, and Mullis was already wide. He just Mullis sent it and made that mistake on his own. I don't think there was actually any contact. Mullis just made the mistake, got his left side tires in that dirt, and Ray Kingsbury up in 6th place now. He almost spun going through turn 3, so able to keep things on track, but that damage is definitely preventing him from putting up competitive lap times, because he was about 0.7 of a second slower than anybody else in the GTE class last lap around. Up, and that's the 06 of Blake Reynolds.
Ending race winner.
Wow. That's... And there's going to be... Looks like there is some damage to the right side of his car. Was there contact from behind? We'll have to see. This is a look at the replay. He's just going to send it through here. The back end, maybe? Yep, yeah, same thing. Just caught the grass and everybody get around safely. Yes. What incredible driving by the rest of this field to avoid that car just sideways in the middle of the track. But you know, everybody that got by him just says, "Thank you very much. I'll take that position."
I think we're seeing a little bit of a competitor curse here. Obviously, a lot of the guys that were really competitive at Road America having problems. You know, Blake Reynolds, Ray Kingsbury, Anthony Burrows. I mean, right now, Challoner and Mullis are, you know, they're pretty immune to it, even though Mullis did fall back a little bit. He's still running second, but everybody else, they're just having problems.
Gap between them about 0.7 of a second, but the gap up front for Josh Clog over Michael Janney is closing. That's about 0.3 of a second between them as they go down the long Andretti straightaway.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he can make the run here. I don't know. Is he going to think better of it? He's going to look to the outside in the same move that Christian Challoner was doing in the sprint race, but he's going to think better of it.
He had his eye on that same exact move. We just need to nickname that one the Challoner, just sending it on the outside and hoping it sticks for 3 corners to get clear.
Yeah, obviously just such an interesting set of corners with the left, right, and coming into the end of the lap. I mean, it is the most important part of the track. It does set you up for the straightaway. It's a really fast turn 1, and then, you know, you can make moves there, and we've seen it happen in real life and on iRacing, obviously, with Christian Challoner, but even looking into the truck races, the NASCAR truck races that happened up here with, like, every race that's happened.
And thankfully, these guys do have a little bit of track out in front of them to battle things out. The next car actually is way off pace, it looks like, because that's, is it Derek Holland next car?
Yes, it is.
Yep, Derek Holland is the next car up on track. He's well in front of them on the straightaway, but he's got a considerable amount of damage. He definitely collected a barrier or another car somewhere on track.
Yeah, I think Jenny lost a little bit of speed through Moss there. He was right on the bumper coming in, but maybe he just didn't get a great run out. Obviously, about 3-4 car lengths right behind him in the S's and probably into whites, though he seems a little bit faster through there.
Yeah, going through the S's, it looks like the left-hander, the second corner of the S's, Janny just really pulls up on the back bumper of Clog, but not able to, make a move stick right there. Not able to keep the momentum like we saw in the GT3s, and this car is definitely just handling a little bit differently from what it seems.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta wonder if it's a question of downforce potentially. I mean, obviously this is an open setup series. We can change what we do. I mean, some guys are going to want something that will benefit him on the straight. That could be Josh Clog's strategy, or Michael Janney's strategy could be to, get him through the high-speed corners and the S's. It seems like that might be it even.
And it looks like there was something happened to Blake Reynolds, who is running 15th. He's the last car. He is the last car that was still running. He is now in the pit. Something happened to him because he was on the lead lap. He's now a lap down. It's unfortunate for him. That's a look there at the 42 car. That is Peter Houston. Right behind him, though, is the Mercedes. And that's a really good battle there between Archer, Houston, and Dipple, those three cars.
Yeah, well, looking back, we have Zach Novak in third place. The best he's run in this series. Obviously, didn't have a very quiet top 5 run, top 6 run in at Road America. Maybe looking to make a statement now. He's closing in on Challenger and Mullis. Only 4 seconds back from Challenger. I mean, maybe he's looking for the Richmond race right 1-2.
Picked up a 1/10 of a second on Mullis that last lap, about even with Challenger. And then is that Commentators curse? Oh my! You need to just stop talking about people because every time something happens, man. My goodness. He lost about, it looks like 3 spots on that. He's just in front of Lambert. No, just got passed by Lambert, it looks like.
Lost about 4 or 5 spots, yeah. I'm just gonna, I might top out the booth. Obviously, I've cursed Blake Reynolds. I've cursed Zach Novak. I cursed Ray Kingsbury.
And this is up front, side by side between the Renovo Racing driver Michael Janney and Josh Clog there for Spark. And Janney's got it. It looks like he's going to have the inside line.
Can Clog hold on? He's going to get... Oh, nope. You see, that's what I'm thinking. He's definitely got more downforce. He was really able to hold so much speed through there. But maybe Josh Clog can get him back here on the straightaways.
Dirty air is not something that Clog has had to deal with so far, at least not from a competition that is on the same pace as him. He's dealt with lap traffic, but nobody on his lead lap, nobody's really been in front of him the entire night so far. So be interesting to see what Dirty Air does to his car.
With the run he's got, though, now coming into Quebec corner.
He lost a ton of time initially. We'll have to see if he can close this gap up at all. Right now, it's about 0.4 of a second.
We've got lap cars, of course, up ahead. A big pack of them. I mean, we're looking at 5, 6. Yeah, I mean, right now, William Calhoun, the next car to go, lap down. And then Kieran Force and Seth Rawls.
Yep, all 3 of those. Those 3 are battling for position as well. So it's going to be interesting to see how they let things happen between them, because you definitely want to not lose any time to those cars that you are racing for position. But you also can't, just be there blocking the entire track for the faster class.
Yeah, I mean, I think top 2 are going to catch him in the worst possible place. They're going to get him into turn 1.
It's going to be interesting. It's going to close up the gap a lot here for for Josh Clog.
Oh, maybe a little bit of contact there.
A little bit loose there on exit was Michael Janney. He's going to just dive it to the inside and thankfully just punch the hole. Thank you very much, says Josh Clog. I will take that gap all day, and I will just see myself through. Now
almost got
turn number 2.
Here in Forest there.
Yeah, through turn number 2, he's going to be able to pull the gap away because then Clog could not get past that next driver in line.
Yeah, I mean, now Clog's got to wait and hope to God that Anthony Burrows sitting back in back in 23rd, about 5 seconds ahead, will you know, he'll maybe give Michael Jenny a hard time.
The gap was about 0.3 of a second. They caught that lap traffic. It grew to about a second is where it's at now. So we'll have to see if Clog can't close that gap at all. It's about a second as well between Challoner and Mullis. It looks like the next bout to look at there is going to be Houston and Clark Archer for third there in GT3s. Just, you know, this whole group of cars right here is peeking his nose to the inside. Is that Mercedes not able to get inside enough to have his nose in there at the corner?
Yeah, we haven't seen the Mercedes be necessarily strong now this season with the introduction of the BMW and the... Oh, we got a car off. Hold on, let's go back to that. That's Steve Brown. Looks like he made contact with the tire barrier.
Yeah, he gets it back rolling. Just talking about those Mercedes, and then one goes off track.
Commentary cursed manufacturers, I guess.
You're cursed everywhere on track, it seems. But yeah, Houston in third place there with Archer right behind. That's a look at what happens to
Michael Jenny coming up on Steve 3 or 4 laps in a not a great spot. And he's got a huge line of guys to get through here, so maybe Josh Clark goes in. Yep, Christian Burrows.
Just as Janney works his way through, Clog starts to catch the group as well. Janney got through the first two. Clog still working his way around the back next car. And it seems like every single time Janney gets around a lap car, the gap just grows to Clog just because of where he catches them and where he has to make his moves.
Yeah, I mean, Janney doing a masterful job of keeping the lap cars and getting by him exactly where he wants. I mean, he's...
And I do have to say, these lap cars, these slower class cars are doing, you know, they're doing their best job of just staying out of these leaders' way, because that's great sportsmanship there. Even if drivers are fighting for position, they realize, hey, these guys are fighting too.
Oh, wait, who's that off? That's Zach Novak off again.
Zach Novak in trouble all over the course. He gets it back rolling. It doesn't look like there's too much damage to his car. And that's right in front. Yeah, that's Josh Clog. You see just getting by him right there. That's very dangerous for these leading cars. The gap now almost 3 seconds now between Janney and Clog. Yeah, and Challoner's pulled out a 1.5 seconds in the GT3s. And that's Novak there. He just kissed that tire barrier, able to keep things rolling. Some damage to the front left splitter. We'll have to see if that downforce change hurts the car at all.
Seems Zach Novak streaming right now, obviously not having the greatest of time. Twitch chat's got to be hyped there, though.
This is a look at Lee Tucker and Kevin Fanning. This is 11th and 12th in the GTEs, and they're putting on quite the show.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is one of the great things about this multi-class racing, is that we do get to see these battles not only just for lower positions, but we just get to see them for different classes, and especially when the classes intercede and we have GT3s trying to make sure they don't lose time letting guys by, and you have GTEs trying to make sure they don't lose time by passing them as quickly as possible. Yeah,
Janney finally catching traffic, and probably one of the slowest group of corners on the track, but he's seeming to deal with it no problem. The gap right now, 2.3, so it did come down about a couple tenths from dealing with that lap traffic where he did. Unfortunately, though, down this long straightaway, Clog is not able to clear more than it looks like one car as they come to the end of the Andretti straightaway. Oh, and back behind them, there's a spinner as well. That's one of the lapped cars, it looks like. Not sure who that was. That was Steve Brown again. With all that damage to the right front on that car, it might, you know, you've been around a couple times, you had contact with the wall. It might just be time to park it. We'll have to see how the rest of his race fares out.
Obviously, it looks like first retirement. As far as he is the, he might be the last car on track. Yeah, he's 4 laps down. Him and Kyle Terrio, Magnus Okenhow. Actually, is 6 laps down. My apologies. And
And that,
everybody behind.
that purple and green car in the front of this pack right here, that is Cody Erdman, of course, of Area 52 Designs and racing under the Spark banner, I do believe. And that was Keen there, sideways nosed into the barrier. But Area 52 Designs, and thank you for sponsoring this race, goes out to Cody Erdman as he leads this pack along. This look, he just went wide in turn number 2. I talked about that in the pre-race. You know, if you get the timing just wrong going down that hill, it kind of upsets the balance of the car and can send you into that tire barrier. Oh, and it looks like he just tried to gas it before his rear tires were back on track, and he just lost the back end, going nose across the track into the other wall.
Josh Clogg lost about a second there to Michael Janney. Just, again, unfortunate lap traffic timing.
My
Only
goodness.
Two GT3s left on the lead lap. That's Christian Challenger and Jimmy Mullis. We'll get back to that battle. I mean, it's Christian Challenger's pulled out to a decent lead, but nowhere near what he had last race. I mean, Jimmy Mullis might be able to come and disrupt the 4x4 that he has going.
Yep. So it looks like. And this is the battle here between Novak, Lambert, and Burrows, 6th, 7th, and 8th in GT3s. And they are putting on a clinic here of just how to race your own race, but still, you know, race. Right, and it's Novak off again.
That wasn't my fault.
And he just goes up the hill. Where did he go?
Zach Novak in the no good, very bad racing Mosport.
Yeah, he went back to the pits. It looks like that's just
Kyle
unfortunate. Yeah, he missed his braking point, lost the back end the same way that we saw Mullis do earlier, and he just continued up the hill. I mean, he just went nose first into the wall, and he towed it straight back to pit lane. He's got a bunch of damage to the left front of his car.
That's a tough thing with these GT3s. They do have so much traction control that when you get into the grass, like, it just wants to keep putting brakes on. You can't really spin it around or try and get yourself under control again like you could with another car, such as a, I don't know, maybe a prototype.
Yeah, still.
Yeah, look at this huge bunch right here.
There's about 10 cars right there, and not all of them, of course, are 4th position, but my goodness, you can just throw a blanket over all of them. Social distancing, guys. Social distancing, please.
No such thing as social distancing when you're on a racetrack. You want to be right behind him. Luckily your wheels don't spread the disease.
And that's Ray Kingsbury. He's dropped from 3rd all the way down to 10th spot right now. You see him in that group of cars, running that number 1. And this is not a great showing for him. He's gonna definitely lose some his top standings in the points, and he's currently sitting, I think, 2nd coming into the day. So we'll have to see where he goes from here.
That's all of our GT3s a lap down now.
That's Christian Challenger there. He just went 1 lap down. So everybody in the GT3 class is now 1 lap down to the overall leader, Michael Janney, but still doing great for him to hold his own as he loses that spot to, there's Christian Challenger now looking to hold position.
I mean, I think Josh Clogg's going to want to send it up through Moss. Maybe not.
Yeah, he's too far back, I think, to get that move done. Yeah, you have to be very patient. But under acceleration, you see just, it does get a better launch, the GTE does, but at the same time, you know, it's not like it's an excessive difference in speed like we'll see between the LMP2s and the GT cars at Daytona this weekend.
Yeah, but actually, look at this. Michael Janney 2 laps ago was 3.5 seconds ahead of Josh Clogg. That lead has now been cut in half.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of lap traffic everywhere. That big group of cars was just crazy for Janney to deal with, and thankfully they did a good job at least staying out of the way for the most part, and Clogg took advantage and closed the gap up. That's Marwin Mofta and I believe Lee Tucker. And they are battling for 12th and 13th right now. And about a second behind them is Tim Brokaw as well. So that's Tucker, Mofta, and Brokaw, those 3. And I've been told by the Matco Tools team, you know, they've got, I think, 5 different colors of cars they can bring out. And after an incident last week, I believe that it was Brokaw that said he switched to the red car, or I can't exactly remember for sure. It looks like there's somebody off just behind Challoner. That's Steve Brown that went off again.
Yeah, I just thought I'd say Steve Challoner, or Steve Brown to just pull it in. I mean, doesn't seem like he's going to be able to do much more. He's obviously, his car is damaged real bad.
Yeah, every position still matters, but you know, you can still gain spots from, you know, cars that have either taken to the pits or something like that. He's only 1 lap behind Novak, who I believe has parked it.
Yeah, he has.
And that's just unfortunate for him. I'm sure he's sitting there just cheering on his teammate Jimmy Willis, but unfortunate day for Zach Novak. Started out great. He was running up in about 3rd place, if I remember right, and just lost it going through the hairpin. It's a tricky corner to get right because it's a double apex. You need to arc it out wide. And he unfortunately just arced it out too wide, got his left side tires on the dirt, and went on a little excursion.
Yeah, I mean, it's this track is real tough, obviously, just like Road America, really natural, very hilly, you know, not much asphalt runoff. I think the only place I can think of where it is in the S's. There's a little bit of runoff there, but a lot of it is either gravel or grass, and neither of those are particularly friendly towards your GT cars.
And I don't know if we can get a look at the 78 of Christian Challoner. Looks like there's some damage to the nose of that car on the right side. Looks like there's just a little bit of hood damage, just pushed up just slightly. I'm not sure if that's just netcode or if something actually happened to him, but I'm definitely seeing a little bit of a gap there between the hood and the fender.
Yeah, it's obviously not costing him much there. I mean,
and yeah, you can definitely see that little gap in the hood. Something had to have happened to that car. I saw it, I think it was through the S's, I believe, is when that happened, but yeah, it looks like he is still able to maintain speed. He only lost, or no, he actually gained about 1.4 seconds last lap to Jimmy, or gained 1.4 on Jimmy Mullis. And this is further back in GT3's battle for 9th between Rawls and Calhoun. And I have to say, I do love this this color scheme that he's running. The black with, you know, the red, and then that, I guess you could call it teal. It's like a pastel blue, yeah. Is that one of the Matco cars that's off there? That's the 144 of Seymour? No? There was a car there off in the dirt. I'm not sure who that was.
Yeah, I mean, frankly, I'm stumped to where it is. I can see it. I only see pink Lamborghinis. We're being told there's a red one. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like anything would exactly track him down. Oh, Matt Kingsbury into the pits.
Yeah, it looks like Matt, from hearing on the radio, it looks like he had contact with somebody and was given the meatball flag, and that's just unfortunate. I'm not sure what happened to him.
This race truly proven to be one of attrition. I mean, we've seen so many guys drop out and drop back. Obviously, the Kingsbury curse, I guess we could call it. Both guys out, or not really out, but falling back. I mean, Ray Kingsbury obviously had that into. Oh, we have a Ford off. I think that might be Steve Wayne. Just off at turn 2 there. I've seen so many guys make that mistake. It's such a tough corner to get through.
That's the one that I messed up time and time again in practice, and my brain tells me, okay, it's a sweeping corner, you can keep your foot in it, but unfortunately, if you get too overzealous with it, you end up just running wide, and being that it's downhill and there's just a lot of grass there, there's no way to stop yourself.
Yeah, I'd like to point out, we already have about 14 minutes left. I mean, time has flown, as it did last race. Unfortunately, not as many crazy battles because of the lap traffic, but I mean, we've definitely seen some good racing. And Josh Clark, I mean, as I say that, he is still working his way towards Mike Jennings.
And right behind Cody Erdman, there is just a huge group of cars. Yeah, it's Cosgrove, Kingsbury, and Belton right there. I think that's 6th, 7th, and 8th. And Cosgrove's went off. Looks like Kingsbury followed him slightly. Are they going to be 3 wide here? They almost were. And that's another car going wide. That's 17. Was that Jack Belton?
Yeah.
It was. Wow. That was just turn 1 right there. And it looks like 3 guys, 2 guys went off into the grass and on the outside of turn 1. And then just looks like they stacked up with Belton. And unfortunately, he got the short straw.
That's close. 4/10 on Michael Janney there. I mean, he's closing. He might have been saving his stuff, and now he's ready to make a charge for the win. Both of these guys obviously didn't have the best of races last race. Neither of them finished on the podium. I mean, Michael Janney obviously won the sprint race and started on the pole, but got involved in that lap 1 incident in the feature at Road America. He would love to bounce back and get a win here, but I think Josh Clogg is just as hungry as Janney.
Yeah, so Janney, Clogg, Pandev, your top 3. That's 2 drivers for Renovo in the Ferraris, as well as Josh Clogg in the Corvette for Team Spark Virtual Racing. They're just putting on a battle as a gap from first to second grows and shrinks and grows and shrinks. And this is a look at. And this is Kamal Hashmi. He started 15th overall tonight, and he's done a great job working his way up through the field, kind of just surviving all the damage, all the carnage that's going on around him. So it's
real quickly,
Hashimi that's about 10 seconds ahead of Cody Erdman, who's 5th in class.
Real quickly, yeah, we do have about 10 seconds between the next set of lap cars for our 2 leaders. So I think we're going to see Clogg close in a lot whenever they're in clean air. I mean, look at that. He gained another 2 tenths there. He'll be on his bumper in no time. We might see a battle with 5 minutes to go.
It's all about that accordion effect, because then Clogg will have to catch those cars as well, and that's... Is that Cody Erdman? That was Cody Cosgrove. Yeah, Cody Cosgrove then went off, and those cars look very similar, so he's going to lose spots everywhere. So it looks like he's going to be down to 10th place now? I'm sorry, he's only down to 8th, it looks like. And in the GT3s, yep, Challoner and Mulla still about 2.5 seconds between them, but further back, Archer about 1.5 seconds between him and Houston. The only really close battle there in class, it looks like Calhoun might have gotten past Rawls for 9th. And that's a look there at those 2. And again, such just a beautiful car right there for Rawls. I mean, for Calhoun actually, but. Yeah,
I mean, stripe or a battle for the lead. Josh Clogg only closing a little bit more to, not as much as the last 2 laps, but he's definitely gaining. I think Janney needs to realize that, and he's starting to step his game up.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting because you talk about how close some of these guys try to cut it on fuel, and you can definitely save, whether if you're in the draft of another car or something like that. But this is for 10th place in GT. This is Tucker and Brokaw, it looks like. Yeah, so Brokaw started 10th. Brokaw started 10th, and he's in 11th right now, trying to work his way up to 10th.
There's a chance he might see some GTEs getting lapped naturally.
And really putting on a good fight there. Is the GT3 of Burrows, and he lets them both go by in turn 2.
Burrows just having a pretty rough race. Again, started 3rd, but running. Oh yeah, he is running 6th. I mean, it's looking like Husson and Dipple are a little bit farther ahead, pretty far ahead. I mean, it's basically a matter of a whole 10 seconds, but I mean, if he's able to hold on to 6th, that'll be pretty good for his points. I mean, 3rd and 6th, probably put him 4th in points-ish.
Yeah, and if you're Kamal Hashimi, you've got about 23 seconds or so, or 20,
sorry,
20-ish
battle
seconds.
for the lead in GT3, lead in GTE. Josh Clog is right up to the rear end of Mike Janney.
Wow, out of nowhere. He must have just caught a flyer or something because, oh, there's 4 GT3s right behind them. And that just opened the door as peeking to the inside is Josh Clog. He's going to be side by side here coming down the Andretti straightaway. Oh my goodness, that was a close call right there, 3 wide.
And there they go. I mean,
and he's going to be clear. That's Josh Clog clear.
Jenny's got more downforce though. He might be able to make
to the lead in GTEs. It sounded like he almost lost the back end coming into the S's, but able to hold on to it. And across the stripe, it's Clog by about 2/10.
Yeah, I mean, let's see if Jenny can try and get that. Obviously, Josh Clog was closing just a little bit, but I think that lap traffic might have helped him out a little bit. I don't know. Like Jenny does still have a strong car, but they're good in different places.
Yeah, Clog was half a second faster that last lap, but right behind them, Pandev, he gained about a half a second on Clog and a second on Janney as well. So he's definitely he's got 7 minutes, so he can maybe try to make moves, but I think he's too far back to do anything. This is just a 2-car fight here for the lead overall.
Look at the gap between Kamal Hashemi and Ivan Pandev, almost 21 seconds I'm looking at. Just truly a 2-horse race with one horse ready to pounce if the 2 make a mistake.
Yeah, field's starting to spread out just a little bit here, but it's Clog, Janney, Pandev, Hashemi, and Erdman, your top 5 in GTEs. Challoner, Mullis, Archer, Houston, and Dipple, your top 5 in GT3s.
And right now, the hot battle for the lead the hot battle on track is Clog versus Janney, as Clog is right, kind of blocking Mike Janney. I'm not going to say anything because I don't want to get him protested for such great racing. We're having GT3 sitting on the outside. Can Janney get the run down into the second corner? Obviously, he can set that up well for a Quebec corner, but it looks like he's going to maybe not get a great run. I mean, definitely dirty air playing a factor.
I don't think there was as much blocking. It was just trying to set up a move for the lap cars. He was flashing his lights. Clog was coming onto that straightaway. They had to deal with one lapped car there, and looks like they're going to have a little bit of clear check in front of them at least. They've got, looks like the 46 car just up in front of them as well. That's Brandon Lambert, the next one in line.
Let's see if Janney can get... Janney's been real good in the draft. I mean, that's how he got by him originally. If he can just get that run.
Defending the inside early is Clog. We'll have to see if the Ferrari of Janney is able to get to his outside. The Ferrari has the speed advantage, but the Corvette is so good just holding speed mid-corner. He can just keep his foot in it and get it just kind of rotated through, losing a little bit of time there between the S's, but it's going to be Josh Clog still at the line, barely with about maybe half a car length between them.
Yeah, I mean, Josh Clog obviously got maybe the faster car in the corners, but Janney, with that Ferrari, we've known for years the Ferrari is the faster car on the straightaways. I mean, the Corvette, obviously a little bit of a newer beast, only came out about almost a year ago now, actually. No, about probably 9 months ago. It's just going to be tough to see how these differences in cars are going to affect this race. I mean, obviously, if they were in equal cars, we could say it's going to come down purely to the driver. But car will play a factor here.
Yeah, the gap about 2/10 of a second right now. They've pulled about another second on Pandev, who's running third in class. So even though these guys are fighting hard, they are still pulling away from everybody behind them.
Christian Challoner, going back to GT3, just still has about 3 or 4 seconds on Jimmy Mullis. Nothing really for Mullis has. Even though Mullis was faster that lap by a little bit, but I don't think it's going to be enough unless Challoner makes a mistake, which would be very uncharacteristic of him.
Yeah, we are under 5 minutes to go. It's going to be Clog and Janney 1 and 2 battling it out. You see right there on your screen. Challoner and then Mullis by about 3.5 seconds. And even further down throughout the field, there's not too many battles going on for position. You can look at Fanning and Cosgrove, and Marwan Mafta's right there to capitalize as well. But overall, there's at least a couple seconds between most cars in class.
This is good for us. I mean, this is the battle we want to be watching. This is the battle for the win. We didn't get to see one of these last time due to some lap traffic. Maybe we'll get a bit of redemption here with Janney and Clog. Obviously, not as good as a 3-car battle, but a 2-car battle is just as good, especially on a track this short and tight.
Yeah, 2/10 the gap, and you look there on entry. Oh my goodness, Josh Clogg just loses so much distance in that mid corner, really able to pull that gap back out over Michael Janney. But now down the straightaway once again, defensive goes Clogg, holding the inside. You would think he'd maybe try to break that draft just a little bit, but instead he's just holding the inside line and says, if you want to go around, you got to go the long way.
Anthony Burrows about probably 15 car lengths ahead. He's going to be caught probably in turn 2 or 3. I mean, it's all going to depend on how he's going to let by the 2 leaders. I don't think he's going to want to get in the way of such an amazing battle. He still wants his own battle. Look at Mike Janney all the way off the track. He's going to lose a bit of time there.
And Pandev lost about 7 seconds at one point. Looks like he's trying to gain it back now, but he had a little bit of a moment there with one of the lapped cars. But fortunately, he's able to keep things going. He holds on to 3rd position, but lost it looks like about 4 seconds what it netted out to.
Yeah. Oh, Burrows has been passed as we were looking away. I mean, he's now sitting behind. Now it looks like the Josh Clogg and Michael Janney are in clear traffic. Looking ahead. There's actually a big pack of them just ahead. That is the that's the top 5 in GT3. I mean, if they catch him before the end of the race, there's about 6 or 7 cars. That's going to really affect the outcome. I think we are going to see him catch him. I mean, it's just a matter of how they catch him and where. I mean, obviously, I think the ideal place to catch him would be going into Moss, because you can send it up the inside and you can. Or maybe they're going over the radios, just begging guys to get out of the way.
Yeah, under 2 minutes left in this race. I believe that's going to be 2 to go here at the line. So if Janney wants to do something here, he's going to have to make that move soon. But he's lost some time to the.
I think he's
Janney lost 2/10 that lap
here, which is not. I wouldn't be a gamble I'm willing to make here. I mean, we're not losing that much time comparing GT3 to GTE.
Yeah, they're catching the first car of this group of GT3s. That's Dipple, it looks like.
I think Josh Clogg's catching him in kind of a bad spot. I know I said Moss is the right place. Yeah, I mean, that's
Dipple,
really...
and Houston. Oh, look up in front, there's a spinner.
Now look at this. Janney actually has the draft.
Steve Lane that was facing the wrong direction in the hairpin. And yeah, this is back up front for Clogg. Into
the S's. It looks like Clogg's going to have, who's that in front of him? I think that might be Peter Huston. And man, look at that. He's going to shoot it to the inside.
Thankfully, Houston giving him that gap. And then look on exit. That's going to be, man, he's just stuck. He's stuck behind. That's not a great place to pass. He's going to have to wait until this straightaway here, and he just sends it up the inside.
Might have been the race there. I mean, there's not too much lap traffic in front of Josh Clogg now. Farthest guys ahead are about 10 car lengths ahead, probably 30 car lengths ahead. I mean, he's not going to catch us by the end of the race if we are on the right track.
Real-time gap is about 1.7 between the two, and you know, lapped cars really did give Janney quite the lead, and lapped cars took it away, and then they gave it right back to Josh Clogg. So definitely, it's been a fun battle to watch, regardless of how it plays out. I mean,
actually, hold on, I stand corrected. He's gonna catch him. I mean, he's really closing in. He might catch
the final lap. The gap is under a second now. Maybe fuel saving for Josh Clogg.
Maybe. I mean, this could be. Doesn't sound like he's sputtering or anything. I mean, I can check it. I don't know if I can't see anything in his cockpit. Obviously, they don't allow you to do that, but.
You just have to think, you know, maybe because gap was 1.2, is down to 0.6 going into the hairpin, but it looks like at this point it's going to be Josh Clogg just pulling away with it.
He's a little bit slow there. Okay, going into White's corner. It looks like he is going to win this race. I mean, Josh Clogg coming across the line.
Taking the win, taking the checkered flag, flashing his lights across the line, and what a show that both Clogg and Janney put on here today.
Yeah, really good battle. I mean, just, if it wasn't for the lap traffic, we would have seen them drafting down the front stretch to the end there.
And then further back, we still have another battle on track. Not much of a battle there between Challoner and Mullis. It looks like it's going to be Christian Challoner just running away with this one once again. And it's going to be a 1 for Challoner, 2 for Mullis, same as we saw.
Oh, for 9th. It's Marlon Mosport versus Cody Cosgrove. 8th and 9th. Looks like it's kind of settled out now. Looks like Cody Cosgrove's going to get the win, or get 8th place there. Christian Challoner obviously coming through to second S into white. He's going to win GT3. 4 races in a row for Christian Challoner. Absolutely. Absolute clinic he put on there. Jimmy Moore was able to get ahead in the first 15 minutes, but once he had to surrender that position, he just, I mean, Christian Challoner just never looks back. I mean, I think the gap there was probably about 10 seconds, yeah. Let's take a run through our finishing lineup, I think. Obviously, second place, first place, Josh Klog, Michael Janney finishing second, Ivan Pandev, Kamal Hashemi, and Cody Irvine rounding out your top 5 in GTE. Christian Challoner coming away with a win in GT3. Jimmy Mullis finishing second, Clark Archer finishing third, Peter Huston finishing fourth, and John Dipple rounding out the GT3 top 5.
And even Anthony Burrows put on a show, but let's talk to Josh Klog. We talked to him once already tonight, but man, great job.
Thank you very much. Much appreciated. Lap traffic got hectic there in the middle, but seemed like it got hectic for Michael there at the, well, like 3/4 point too. So it all evened out and worked out in the end for me.
Yeah, it looked like when he got the lead from you, it kind of lap traffic gave him a gap to pull away just a bit. You're able to claw your way back, and then once you got past him, you know, you had the lap traffic help you as well there towards the end. But talk us through that move to get it done. It looked like you were setting it up for a couple corners there, and you finally just were able to send it in there and get the pass.
Yeah, it was kind of just, you know, waiting it out and seeing, kind of wait for an opportunity that, you know, was created rather than try and create one. Still had plenty of laps left if that didn't work out. But, you know, lined it up and got it done.
It's a completely different animal going from where we were last week at Road America. Such a long track with long lap times. You're not always catching slower class cars every single lap. What's the biggest difference, you know, maybe in your mindset going from a track like that to here, where you're basically always watching out for a lapped car?
That's pretty much the biggest difference is, you know, it's a different mindset of, all right, I can lose a couple tenths here, or I can send it, keep my time, but maybe get damaged and then lose a couple tenths every lap. So, you know, the safer bet is usually the better option.
And, talking about the point standings real quick, obviously you didn't even crack the top 10 after last race. Winning here and having guys like Ray Kingsbury, Blake Reynolds, and Sabian Ranks are having so many problems, that's going to move you, help you feeling good about maybe making a run for the title?
Yeah, definitely a lot more comfortable, you know, in the car than I was at the start. Last week I felt pretty good, but had the unfortunate game crash. So this week brought it back, and definitely a positive outlook on it going forward.
And wrapping things up here, Josh, you got anybody that you want to thank as we get set for next week?
Thank you guys for the wonderful broadcast, of course. And, you know, everybody that helped out with preparation, practice, all that.
Well, thank you. Congratulations on your first win of the season. You took the sprint race, and then you did the same thing and got the lead back from Michael Janney. And congratulations to you, Josh. What a great race you had.
Thank you much. Much appreciated.
Josh Klog, driver of the number 2 for Team Spark. And now it looks like we're going to be joined. It looks like, Mike, you have caught up with Michael Janney, who came second overall today.
Yeah, Mike Janney obviously coming away with a really solid finish here. Take us through those last couple laps. Obviously, we weren't able to get the win.
Well, you know, first, thanks for having me. Appreciate it. And I want to thank the guys over at Renovo for, you know, always practicing with me and getting me to the pace that I'm at the moment. But yeah, those last couple laps were crazy. You know, overall, at the end of the day, I think Josh just raced more consistent and was quicker than me. And the Class Act guy, it was such a great time, such a great race. One of the best battles I've had in a very long time. And, you know, a combination of traffic patterns and, you know, him just being a tenth every couple laps quicker than me, I think Yeah, he played the long game and whittled me down. But yeah, no, that was fantastic. Great stuff.
We talked about, with Josh, and now I got to mention it to you. What's it like kind of on these shorter tracks battling with lap traffic? It kind of helped you pull away to a bit of a gap over Clog. And once he got it back, it helped him pull away as well. What's your kind of thoughts on, how do you get around these guys without giving up too much time?
Well, that's the trick, right? It's a very delicate balance of trying to find that gap, get by them without losing either of yourselves too much time. Um, you know, I think it's a great addition because it really adds that extra element of unknown. Because you could get a good traffic pattern, you could get a bad traffic pattern, and in the long scheme of an entertaining and great race, it's like so much fun. I love it. I know a lot of guys makes them nervous. They can be 50-50 on if they like lap traffic, but it makes the race for me. I love getting by them, and I love the unknown of if they're going to cooperate with it or not. So.
And last one, I know kind of gave your shout out to your guys already, over at Renovo and everything. But anybody else you want to thank? Any shout outs you want to give?
Yeah, my family's sitting down in the living room watching me, so I appreciate that. And then I probably got my cousin watching as well. So thanks, guys. Thanks for supporting me. Appreciate it. And thanks for having me in here. Appreciate it.
Yep. Congratulations on second place finish. And we will see you next week.
Thank you.
For Team Renovo. That's Michael Janney, driver of the 113 of Renovo Racing. And last but not least, we're going to have to send it to a guy that we've talked to maybe way too much in this 2 times in 2 races. Christian Challoner, your second win in 2 races here in GT3s.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. I mean, the sprint, that was really fun. I mean, me and Jimmy had a side-by-side battle pretty much the entire race, and I was kind of expecting that we were going to get the same in the 45-minute. It seemed like people spread out a bit more in the feature, and Jimmy made a little mistake and allowed me to get by, and I was just about able to kind of get out of the draft. And he had a moment, and we kind of agreed that sort of the gap that had built up between us was probably not really representative of pace, so I dropped back to where we felt it should have been, and then we kind of went from there, and it was pretty fun. The second race actually went pretty fast. Yeah, pretty happy with that. Really happy with qualifying because I didn't expect to have that kind of advantage.
Yeah, I think you just padded out your lead to Jimmy probably about 20 points. I mean, you two have been 1-2 for the last 4 races. No, actually, no, you didn't finish 1-2 in the first sprint race, but you two look like the 2 favorites to win the championship. You probably more than Jimmy. Do you think? I don't know. You think you're going to be able to hold this level of consistency that you've had for the rest of the season?
I hope so. I mean, I think the pace is there, and I mean, the thing to watch out for really is with the thing with me with this car is I have probably more experience with it than basically anybody else on iRacing. So I think that kind of means that I'm basically at the level that I'm going to be at, whereas Jimmy is still pretty new to it and is closing the gap every kind of race really. In the first race at Road America, he was a good bit off, and by the end of that event, he was pretty much on pace. And then right from the go here, he was with me. And as you guys saw in the sprint, I couldn't get away, and he held the lead for a long time, and then again in the feature. So I think Jimmy's just going to continue to get better, and there's obviously a couple of other guys as well that are pretty fast. Anthony Burrows, I think we kind of got robbed a little bit of a battle there in the feature because he ran out of fuel at the end of the sprint, which was a shame, and that set him back. But I think the 3 of us are really, really close, and I think it'll probably just kind of flip between us over the rest of the season.
Yeah, and that going back to the sprint race and that battle you had with Jimmy, it looked like there were, I think, 3 or 4 laps in a row where you tried to make a move to the outside coming off of the long Andretti straightaway, and then you were able to get him at the line, but you kind of gave up the spot in turn 1. You finally got that move done, though. Were you just kind of backing out to see if you could get the move done, or were you just kind of testing the waters and see what the car could do?
I think Jimmy was a lot more confident getting through turn 1 than I was. I know in practice a couple of times I'd ended up on the outside curb and it looped me around. So at this track, I'm always really conscious of that curb because I know it's pretty evil. So I wasn't particularly keen to be on the outside of somebody through there, even somebody who I really, really trust to race side by side with, such as Jimmy. But me and him have had actually a really good battle in the GTE cars at this track before, so I knew that I'd be able to run side by side with him, especially through the last sector, because we've done it before essentially. So I knew that that was going to be viable, and honestly, I wasn't 100% sure I was going to be able to get the pass actually completed on him in the sprint, but I did notice that when I was getting those runs on the outside, I was crossing the line first. So even if I hadn't been able to complete the pass, I was kind of hopeful on the last lap I might have been able to take a stab on the outside and at least win the run to the line.
Yeah, and I guess to wrap things up here, Christian. I know we're gonna probably have you thanking everybody every single race, but I have to ask, anybody shout outs you want to give or anything like that?
Yeah, I'd just like to give a shout out for you guys for doing the broadcast and for everybody involved in the organization of this. It is really fun. I mean, I don't get much chance to do kind of good organized racing anymore, and this is kind of my sort of chill out thing on a Thursday night, and it's been really fun. It's allowed me to kind of get back together a little bit with guys that I worked with last year, just as a little bit of a fun event. So like I'm swapping setups with Jimmy and Zach Nova. I mean, honestly, actually, if anybody wants a setup for the BMW, all you got to do is message me in the session, and I'll happily share them to you. They're really just minimal adjustments to the baseline setups. I mean, I made the baseline sets, so what I'm racing is really, really very similar to that.
By the way, I guess one more that I just had pop into my mind. What are your thoughts on the format here with the 15-minute sprint and then the feature as well? It's a little bit different than what we see in other leagues.
Yeah, I really like it actually. The sprint is always kind of a bit more frantic, so it's a bit more aggressive and everything. And I think tonight was awesome actually. I was surprised at how close everybody was really in the sprint, and it was crazy. I know me and Jimmy were having our battle, and it was probably slowing us down a little bit, but everybody was just kind of stacked up behind us all the way back to 10th. So that was really cool to see, and I was a little bit disappointed maybe that we didn't have the same thing in the feature, but I mean it is a 45-minute race, so people spreading out is kind of to be expected, and I know the kind of tempo is a little bit lower in that kind of race, but yeah, it's interesting because it's two really different styles of race, and it's really fun. I wish we had the invert though. The invert would be really cool for the future.
Yeah, we saw it last year, and it definitely made for an interesting time. But Christian, 4 races into the season, 4 wins, and we'll see you next week in Virginia.
Thank you.
Christian Challenger, driver of the number 78. And we're going to wrap things up here with the second place finisher as well from the GT3s. Jimmy, you got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Jimmy, what a show you put on. You and Christian were battling basically the entire sprint, and you had the lead for a while there before a minor mistake in the sprint. What were your thoughts on your battles with him tonight?
Oh, it's always fun to get in here and mix it up with Christian on the roadside. We've had some really good battles at this track before, so I knew tonight was going to be, nothing different. And the sprint race, I felt like was, one of the best battles. Probably competed with what we had last week with me and Burrows, so that was really fun. And then obviously, had the lead like you said, and just slipped up in the double right. I struggled through there the whole entire night, and after that, Christian, he's just so consistent and smooth. It was really hard to even make up any little bit of time on him, and even when I would, I'd end up throwing it away somewhere else. So sucks to come home however far behind him I was, but it was a really fun race again this week, and yeah, hats off to Christian. He's insane, man.
There was a point during the feature race where your teammate Zach Novak was behind you. If you would you have been okay with finishing second to him if it meant to getting a 1-2 out of for Richmond Raceway Esports?
I don't know if Zach could have went up there and gotten Christian. And I sure as heck wouldn't have let him by me. That I can tell you that much. But yeah, I don't know what happened with Zach. I know he was actually looking really quick there. And I think he either made a mistake or got caught up in something. But yeah,
the commentator cursed him.
Oh no.
And Jimmy, we're off to VIR next weekend. What are your thoughts on that track?
Never raced there. I've ran a couple laps in some different cars on that track, so it'll be good to get a new track under my belt, I guess you could say. And yeah, I look forward to it. These races have been really fun so far.
Any sponsors or teammates or anything friends or family want to give shout outs to?
Oh, of course. Thanks to you guys for the broadcast. Thanks to everybody, over here that
puts this league on. Thanks to Christian for not only the help with the setup, but just, giving a really good fight tonight. That was a lot of fun. And huge shout out to Richmond Raceway Esports and Oko Sim Seats and, everybody that helps our program go along, and Lockdown Racing as well. And once again, thank you to you guys, and look forward to next week.
Congratulations on another second place finish, and we will see you next week. That's Jimmy Mullis, driver of the number 44 Richmond Raceway Esports. And as we take a look real quick, we're just going to go through your top 5 in each class as we wrap things up here tonight. It is Josh Klog, Michael Janney, Pandev, and then Hashimi with Cody Erdman wrapping up your top 5 in GTEs. And Mike, you want to run through the top 5 in your GT3s for us?
Yeah, if our producer could pull it up, I've already left the session by accident.
Oh, well, then if that's all right, I will go ahead and go through it then. It is going to be Challenger and Mullis, those 2 guys we just talked to. And then it's going to be Archer, Houston, and Dipple, your top 5 there. And my goodness, what a show we've seen 2 weeks into the season. If that's what we're in store for the rest of the year, I mean, it's going to be a fun one to watch.
It's exciting. I mean, it's not even like we're just seeing battles on track between the same guys. We're seeing different guys up there every week. In GT and GT3 is a bit of a different story. We've had the same 1-2 for the last 2 features. I think we're really we're in for a really good treat for a season 1 points battle and for on-track action. I mean, sometimes you only get one or the other, but I think we've got the perfect formula to get both.
And what a great race we had once again. Next week, as I mentioned, we are at Virginia International Raceway, VIR, for another exciting round of NASA GT Americas presented by Simracer Coin. Make sure you join us next week. On Wednesday, we will have the Simracer Coin NASA Rally Cross Challenge on Wednesday night. I believe that goes off at 9 p.m. And then we will be back here on Thursday night, same time, same place here on ASM TV USA, both on Twitch and on YouTube. And it's definitely going to be another great show there as well. As a reminder, we're going to have some streams with the Spark guys. We're going to have the 24 Hours of Daytona. We're going to be running that for charity for the Michael J. Fox Foundation for Parkinson's Research. Check that out over twitch.tv/cubecast as well. Mike, I know that you're going to have a stream. You can promote that here in just a second, but I have to give a huge thanks to Victor Valley. Mike, go ahead and plug your stream as well.
Yeah, for 24 Hours of Daytona, you can go check out the Flying Aces on YouTube. I'm not gonna be me racing, but my teammate is gonna be racing at the hour, I think 2 o'clock Eastern and 8 o'clock Eastern. Hopefully you can tune into that. It's a good crowd, and I think we'll put in a show for you.
What a great show we saw, and hopefully we'll see more great racing both this weekend and next week as well. For Mike Berry, I'm Chad Irvine, and a huge thank you to our producer, Victor Valley, back in the studio. That wraps things up here from Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. We will see you next week. Race clean, race safe.